Oh, hello. My name is Mara and welcome to Books Like Whoa. So it's the middle of the month-ish, and that means that it is time to do a little what I'm reading right now. Guys, such a better reading month already than last month. Actually last month I think the ratings were pretty high, but I was so anxious about all the moving stuff that I just couldn't read and relax the way I wanted to. And this month I've just I told myself, I was like, when you want to read, even if it feels overwhelming, if you have any inclination to read, just do it and you will feel more relaxed when you do. And I'm so glad that I've been doing that because I've gotten so much reading done, and most of it has been reading I've really enjoyed. Now I've had some DNFs or some strikeouts, some books that I'm going to come back to, but in general the books that I'm finishing are books that I'm pretty happy with. So I need to figure out, let's see here, because a lot of these I'm going to address in my March Mystery Madness wrap up, so I don't want to get into those too much. Let me just say that if you saw my TBR video, I'll link that somewhere. If you saw my TBR video, I've actually read all of those except for Frankenstein. So this is the last book that I want to read for March Mystery Madness in terms of my planned TBR. So yeah, this is on the docket to be read at some point by me this month, and I'm looking forward to it. There's a couple of other books that are a little more pressing right now. So, but aside from that, if you saw that video, know that I did read or attempt to read all of those books, and I will have thoughts for you on those at the end of the month with the March Mystery Madness wrap up. Yeah, but highlights from that, I won't get into it too much, but the one book that I wanted to make sure I got to and that I read and really enjoyed was Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. I'll have more thoughts for you guys, but I think that this was really, really good. There were some problems with it, which I'll get into, but overall, I really am excited for the rest of this trilogy, so I was glad I got to that this month. You will also be seeing at the end of this week, I believe, my review of the Underdog and Other Stories by Agatha Christie. It's Agatha Christie short stories starring Hastings, so yeah, this was good as well. I'm trying to think of any other highlights for mysteries that I read. And the only other thing I'll mention is that I did read one J.D. Robb already this month, and I'm in the middle of another that I got from the library. The first one I read this month I wasn't too thrilled with, and I'll get into that in my wrap up. The one I'm reading right now is a lot better. So the one I already read was Portrait in Death, and the one I'm reading right now is Imitation in Death. So that is one that I think I'll actually probably finish up tonight. So yeah, other than that, I want to save the rest of my mystery stuff for that wrap-up video. So you will see that at the end of the month, the beginning of next month, something like that. So other things that I have read, I read A Darker Shade of Magic. I finally finished that, and I really enjoyed it. So it makes me excited because I've got the other two on my TBR shelf. I wasn't sure, I was liking it but not loving it at the beginning, which is why I stalled out on it for so long. And I think it's a book that if you can get through the first half of it, it picks up a lot in the second half, and there's just a lot more happening and a lot more to hold the interest. So I'm very excited going into the next two books because I've heard that if you like the series, and not everybody does, but if you like the series, it gets better and better. And I think I liked the first book enough that I'm excited for the next two books. So I read that. Kind of in counter news, I tried to read Nevernight, and I'll talk about it in my monthly wrap up, but I DNF'd this book, and I'm really sad about it because this was a book I really was looking forward to and thought that I was gonna love, and I just didn't. So I'll talk more about that in my wrap up at the end of the month. So that was some of the fantasy that I've gotten to. I've been really in the mood to read fantasy, but because it's March Mystery Madness, I've been trying to be good about getting through some of the mysteries on my shelf, but I've really wanted to read fantasy. So I'm looking, I think in April I'm going to do more of that. I might be doing a buddy reads of a Truth Witch, so we'll see what happens. Anyway, I'm rambling. The only other book that I thought I should mention that I read before I get into the books that I'm going to read next is Getting Things Done by David Allen. This is one that I've wanted to read for a long time. I was kind of disappointed by it. It was good. I got some pretty good tips from it. And I like this kind of organizational book, but it wasn't great. I was expecting it to be life-changing, and it just wasn't. So it was fine. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, but It was kind of meh. Okay, so now getting into the books that I want to read next or am currently reading. So, first of all, I am reading right now, and I'm having to do it slowly because it is like destroying my life. I am reading Children of the Blood and Bone. Guys, this book is so good. So, context. I usually like, if I can, I like to try to read books in one sitting, if I can. And I got home from work last night, today's Saturday. I got home from work on Friday night, and I didn't have plans, so I was like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna read the rest of this. Because I'd read the first 15 pages and cried once already just doing that, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna love this. So I read another like 40 pages and had already cried twice again, and I was like, this is not a book I'm gonna be able to just gulp down because it is too much for me. Guys, this book is so good. Baba, what happens to Baba? Okay, I can't even talk about this. This is so good, and it's living up to the hype so far, and that makes me so happy because so often books don't, especially, I mean, not to hate, but like especially YA books, I feel like so often they don't live up to the hype. This is really, really good. And the author is so charming. I started following her on Twitter because she had like the sweetest tweet I've ever seen. Like she tweeted her reaction to finding out she was on she's #1 New York Times bestseller, and it was just so great. And I just, oh guys, this book is so good, and I can't wait to finish it. I've decided I'm gonna let myself read like 100 pages a night until I'm done. So that'll only be a few days, and maybe I'll do a yay or nay review on this if I'm able to. But oh, it is so good, and I really recommend it. I can't wait to finish this one. Then in terms of audio and physical book, I've been going back and forth. I'm also reading The Iron Curtain right now. Kind of a dramatic change from YA fantasy to, you know, light little history of the Soviet bloc. This is fantastic. It's not easy reading, and it will take me a while to get through this, but I really enjoy it in terms of just like it's really enriching my understanding of kind of immediately after World War II what Eastern Europe was like, and it gives it's giving me a lot of context of sort of like some of the politics and history that has happened since then. So this is really good, not like, oh, this is great, like you're gonna love this kind of a read, but just like enriching, well written, well researched, and like important. And for those reasons, like I would recommend this based on what I've read so far. But yeah, making my way slowly through this. In terms of other things that I want to read for March Mystery Madness, well, I've gotten through most of my TBR. So I mentioned Frankenstein is one that I still want to read. And then I might read, there's a Sherry Thomas YA female Sherlock Holmes retelling. I think it's called A Scandal in Belgravia is the first book. I have the first book in that series. I'll put the cover here. I might get to that one if I'm able to. I might get to that one. The thing that will be competing in my heart for that is the fact that I also read already Every Heart a Doorway by Seanan McGuire. So good, so good. And shout out, I think her name was Amy. Shout out to Amy for telling me that it was a murder mystery, because I was like, great, I will read that as part of March Mystery Madness. It is a murder mystery. It is a fantasy. It is, I guess it is technically YA. I don't think, thematically, I'm not sure. Anyway, it's being sold as YA, so we'll just go with YA. And, you know, after I finished reading that, I already had Down Among the Sticks and Bones, so, like, you bet your sweet ass I ordered Beneath the Sugar Sky and had it show up at my door 2 days later, because there's a chance, if I get the opportunity that I might just, like, gulp this down. But I don't know. The first one was an emotional read, and Children of the Blood and Bone is just, like, Tomi is just like, she's got her finger and she's just like yanking on my heartstrings, so I may not be able to do this emotionally, but if I can, because the first book was so good, I may glom these down. Otherwise, I might save these for next month, because like I said, I think April's gonna end up being like a big fantasy month. Similarly for me, The Queen's Rising by Rebecca Ross. This is one that I really do want to get to. I ordered it when it first came out, and when I do that, I'm like, you gotta get to it. This is another fantasy. I think it's YA-ish. It's like okay, Harper Teen. So yeah, this is YA. I'm reading a lot of fantasy YA. I think the reason I'm doing that, one, is because I've been reading or watching a lot of Thoughts on Tomes and Books with Emily Fox recently. Like that's who I've been watching a lot on BookTube, so it's putting me in that mood. But also, I do really like for like in the YA like firmament, my favorite version of YA is fantasy because I really like fantasy, but adult fantasy can be quite dense to get through. Like it can take a really long time and the books are super long and whatever. And I do like that YA fantasy worlds tend to be a little simpler and therefore a little easier to get into. So that may be why I've been gravitating towards so much YA. I'm not sure. Anyway, all that to say, I am in the mood for that these days, and this is another one that I hope that I can get to sooner rather than later. So this might also happen this month. Who knows? Let's see. Is that everything? I think so. I've got some things out from the library. I've got a couple of contemporary romances out from the library, but those are like evening reads. I get through those really quickly, so we'll see if that happens or not. I think that's most of what I want to read. There's so I do these and I'm always like, what are you even thinking? How are you going to get through this many? But to be fair, I've already read, I think 13 books this month, and we're only halfway through. I've been in the mood to read, man. Like I got blocked in February, and this month I'm like, come hell or high water, I'm getting through some books. So we'll see what happens. I might be able to get through more of these than you might think. We'll just have to see. So anyway, that's sort of a peek into what I'm reading right now, what I'm thinking about reading next, what I've been reading recently, all that good stuff. I like these because it's sort of a check-in midway through the month to kind of talk about like what's on my radar as opposed to just doing monthly wrap-ups. I don't know. I like these videos and you guys seem to like them pretty well too. So anyway, if you've read any of the books I talked about, or if you want to read any of the books I've talked about, let me know. Leave me a comment below. But yeah, other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, subscribe, follow me on the social medias if you're so inclined. I have all that information listed in the description box below. And I think that will do it. I hope you guys are having a really wonderful day, and I will talk to you tomorrow. I have a bonus video tomorrow, a tag, so I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye!